Welcome everyone. Today I'm so happy to have a guest like John Hewitt here with me, a serial entrepreneur known for creating two national retail chains through franchising. Welcome, John.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Great to meet you here. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, I'll take you quickly through my 54 years of business experience. I started when I was at the University of Buffalo. I took an H&R Block course. I loved it, and I was blessed to find out what I wanted to be when I grew up when I was 20 years old. And 12 years later, I was running 250 H&R Block locations. And my dad was the CFO of a public company. He decided that we should computerize taxes. So in 1981, we both quit our jobs and built the first tax software for an Apple computer. No one wanted it. It was way ahead of its time. Got blessed and found a company in Virginia Beach called Mel Jackson Tax Service. Mel had died. We bought 6 offices from his widow. We changed the name to Jackson Hewitt. We merged the two companies and grew it to be a billion-dollar company.
Wow.
I sold my public company, sold my stock, and then I started Liberty Tax. And now, when my non-compete was over, I had to compete against both H&R Block and my own name, my own software, my own system at Jackson Hewitt, my own people. And yet, we grew faster than both of them combined. We opened 4,000 offices in 12 years. Again, a public company worth $500 million. And again, one of the top 100 retail chains in the country. So now I founded 2 of the top 100 retail franchise chains in the United States. I brought in, through franchising, I brought in over 5,200 franchisees and made 1,000 millionaires. And now I've sold out of Liberty and started Loyalty Brands. And Loyalty Brands is an umbrella of franchisors. We have 8 different franchisors. So that's my 54-year career in a nutshell.
That's good. So to start from the beginning, you said you and your dad gave up your jobs to start this together, right? What was the mindset back then before you start this?
I give all the credit to my dad. I was born the oldest of 5 children when my dad was at Michigan State, and he grew up in the Depression, but he always wanted to be an entrepreneur, be self-employed. But he had 4 children within 6 years, and he just didn't have the time or the money to get involved. And so finally, by the time I was doing well at H&R Block, running 250 locations, he had made a good amount of money. All of my siblings were out of high school, and he decided that it was time to be an entrepreneur. And he bought one of the first Apple computers, and he liked it. He liked it better than the mainframe that was running his public company. So between he's an accountant, I'm good at tax. He believed in the future of computers, one of the first to believe, and put it all together, and he convinced me to leave my job and go out on our own.
I see. So what has been the biggest, let's say, game changer for your franchising umbrella in the past year?
In the past year, I've really gotten to understand the pet industry. Benjamin Franklin said 350 years ago, he said, there's 2 things certain in life, death and tax. And
that's wise.
Then Dennis Waitley said, no, there's a 13th thing, and that's change. But now I've realized over the last year that pets is just amazing and exploding. And so our fastest growing franchise is our Zoomin' Groomin' mobile grooming service is just growing like wildfire. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest change. And I think that's an overall change in society here in the United States that,
Hmm.
when I was your age, there was no such thing as Uber Eats or
Yeah.
all these delivery services. The only pizza chain that delivered early was Domino's. And back in
Mm.
the 60s, 70s, 80s, Pizza Hut wouldn't deliver pizza, and Papa John's and Little Caesars. Now everyone delivers pizza. So
Mm.
Americans want more delivery. Amazon has made a gazillion dollar company based on delivery of products and to homes. So
Yeah.
the mobile grooming has been just incredibly. That's the number one thing.
Hmm. Do you think that's the case only in the USA or just globally?
I'm not an expert on the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So I'm very focused
Hmm.
on what I do. And so I'm not an expert on what goes on in the rest of the world.
Hmm.
So since you're not in the United States, I think you would know better than I would.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, the way you say it makes sense. Exactly. So, what would you say is one mistake that you made early on that you learned a valuable lesson from?
Yeah, when we bought Mel Jackson Tax Service in August of 1982, we had 6 locations. H&R
Okay.
Block had 9,000 locations. And we set out as a goal to be number one, to have 9,001 locations. So I just needed
Yeah.
to add 8,995 offices to be number one, to meet our goal. And the mistake I made is we had all company locations. So in August of 82, we had 6. By January, we had 11. The following January, we had 15. The January after that, we had 22. So that's not bad growth in 2.5 years to go from 6 to 22. But
Yeah.
if I was going to get to 9,000 locations,
Hmm.
I was going to be like 400 years old by the time I was going to get there. So
Yeah.
we immediately started franchising, and it was hockey stick growth. We went from 22 to 49 to 200 to 450 to 700. We grew exponentially once we started franchising. So that was
Hmm.
a huge mistake I made, that I
Okay.
wasted 2.5 years without franchising when I started Jackson Hewitt.
Hmm. Would you change that mistake if you had the power?
No, I don't spend any time on what ifs.
Yeah.
Who knows what would happen?
Good.
I changed it and I got hit by a truck. So I don't waste 1 second ever thinking about what if I had done something different. I'm each day I'm dealt the cards that I have to play the hand that I'm dealt. And
Yeah.
sometimes good things happen, sometimes bad things happen. God doesn't put anyone here to escape. We all face adversity. I never waste time on what if I had done something different.
Hmm. That's very wise as well, especially I think in today's world, the people I see in my age, they always overthink about what ifs, and it's wastes so much time, especially as you said, with the cards that you got now, you have to play them because you're
Exactly.
losing. You need to do something about it, right?
Exactly.
So let's move on to what's the one question you get asked most often from about your business?
The number one question I've been asked in my business career is, what keeps you up at night? What worries you? What is the biggest risk? And
Hmm.
it's always been the same, that I don't worry about my competitors. I don't worry. What I worry about is our execution of the plan. I've
Hmm.
always been in a place in 54 years that if we executed the plan, we were going to be number one. We always had the best plan. So I'm really good at making plans, at creating a competitive edge. So I just worry about ourselves. Can we execute? That's the question, and that's the answer.
That's fair enough. And what's one piece of advice you would give to your younger self starting out as an entrepreneur?
I don't, again, that's kind of a what if, but this is the advice I give regularly to, and I brought in, remember, 5,200 franchisees that I've mentored
Yeah.
and I've helped develop. And the number one advice I give to everyone, including my children and all my franchisees, anyone that will ask, is find something you love to do,
Hmm.
work hard, persevere. Perseverance is the most important aspect
Yeah.
of success. And nothing worthwhile is simple. It requires hard work. And
Yeah.
by all means, find something you love to do. Life's too short. With me, it's thank God it's Monday, not thank God it's Friday. On Monday morning, you're going to work. You're not looking forward to it. You're going to the wrong place.
Yeah. I see. It makes sense the way you say it. When you love what you do, let's say you can still have some days when you don't feel like working. So is there something that you would like to say to that?
Well, people ask me, I'm not a vacation kind of person.
Hmm.
It's hard for me to go away more than 2 or 3 days. And
Okay.
people ask me so what do I vacation? I tell them I vacation every day and I work every day.
Mm.
I find time during every day of enjoyment. But I'm passionate about what I do, and I'm
Mm.
passionate about winning. My book is called I Compete, and
Yeah.
I'm a fanatical competitor. So
Mm.
I love to compete. And there's so many ways in this world to compete.
Yeah.
Even if it's just betting my friend $1 who wins the game, right? Or on a card game or anything. I just love to
Yeah.
compete. So I can always find competition each and every day.
Hmm. That's nice. That's a nice thing because if you are always on the hunt, let's say to compete, then you feel satisfied, you feel proud. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's I'm driven. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, 100%. So, okay, we have a bonus section as well. So in there, I'll say one word or a phrase, and you must reply with your first thought that comes to your mind. Does that make sense?
Okay, is this a psychology test?
No.
Oh, good.
Well,
Because
usually if
I
something,
like to say I walk the tightrope of insanity.
usually if something is controversial, we elaborate in the end. So it's
Okay.
not like you being in a difficult situation, yeah. So first one, founder and CEO.
Um, World changing.
Mhm. Franchising,
Uh, the greatest vehicle for explosive growth.
mhm. Businesses people.
Business people, I find them to be not as impressive as I thought 60 years ago.
Yeah, that's interesting. Sales skills.
Listen,
Customer experience.
customer experience,
Mhm.
exceed expectations.
Mhm. Entrepreneurship books.
The effective executive.
Okay. That was really interesting. Uh, let's go from the start. Franchising. You said, remind me what did you say in franchising?
I said the best growth, explosive growth vehicle. And what no one says about franchising, I've never heard
Yeah.
another person that say this, is you get people that are very talented that you don't have to pay. They pay you to work for you. So
Yeah.
out of my 5,200 franchisees, I would have paid, $1 billion of payroll, but they pay
Yeah.
me to work for me. It's one of the greatest concepts ever invented.
Would you recommend it to any industry though?
No, I think that the when people say, "Should I franchise?" they say no. Most
Mhm.
franchisors fail.
Oh, okay.
In the United States, there are There's 4,000 franchisors. And for the last 15 years, there's been 500 new franchisors every year, but there's still 4,000 franchisors. So 500 start and 500 fail every year.
Wow. That's interesting.
So if you say, should you franchise? Don't.
Right. How do I know if it's the right thing to do though?
Yeah, it comes down to the key to successful franchising is very, very simple. It's incredibly simple. It comes down to happy, successful franchisees.
Right.
If you have happy, successful franchisees, you're unstoppable. If you don't, you're going to fail. And most franchisors, almost every one of them, 95% of them, want happy, successful franchisor. They want the company to succeed without understanding there's no success unless your franchisees succeed. Simple concept. Almost no one gets it.
Yeah, I see. It makes sense. When they are happy, then they have more to give. They are more committed as well, and they're more likely to succeed.
And the word spreads like wildfire.
Yeah, word of mouth. You mean?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I
They
see.
bring in their relatives, their friends, everyone they meet. They sit next to someone on the plane. They talk about their business. They're happy, successful franchises.
I see. In customer experience, you mentioned something interesting as well.
Yeah, one of my favorite business authors his name is Stan Phelps, and he said when you arrive at when you're scheduled for a meeting, you never arrive exactly on time. You're either early or late. You almost never are exactly on time. So if it's 6 o'clock, you're 5:58 or 6:02, or you're almost never exactly at 6 o'clock. And he said in the same way, you almost never exactly meet a customer's expectation. You exceed the expectations or fail to meet them. So I judge our success by knowing that we can't always exceed expectations. But each year, each month, we want to exceed a higher percentage of customers' expectations.
Of the previous. I see. Yeah, and a little bit every month, if it goes and 1% per month, then you build it up, and over the years, it's really huge, isn't it?
Exactly. It's the mandate for great success.
And entrepreneurship books?
Yeah, I love everything Peter Drucker writes, and The Effective Executive is my favorite Peter Drucker.
Would you say when I hear the word book, I have on one side, let's say, people who read books, but it's just for the sake of reading, and on the other hand, something that I do as well, it's basically reading a book and then trying to apply the knowledge that I get to my reality. Do you think that should be the case?
Well, well, first of all, in reading, I read one fiction book and then one business book. So I alternate. And if I'm not going to get something out of a book, I'll put it down very quickly. But at my age, I'm only getting like 1 or 2 ideas out of a book. But if I can get one good idea, I'm happy. If I'm partway through a book and I'm not getting anything unusual, unique about it, then I'll just get rid of it.
Get rid of it. Okay, it makes sense. Do you have any last words from John, particularly before we close the podcast?
Yeah, I think I said, as I said before, find something you love to do, work hard, persevere.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
And that was John Hewitt, ladies and gentlemen.